There we go, it's on to record. And welcome everybody. My name is Niri Patel. I'm the National Director of Fit20 in the UK. It's great to have you here for the first of our series of webinars, first in a series of 3. Just really quickly, when I saw Fit20, I thought it was the perfect thing to cater to a market that wasn't being looked after. As a kid, I had really bad asthma from the age of about 3. So it wouldn't surprise you to know that I wasn't particularly active or sporty. And it was only in my later years that I started to do something about my health, because I was always fighting weight, being not very active. And I was one of these people that really struggled to stay fit, healthy and well, but through willpower, determination, one way or another, always tried to manage to get some exercise. But I always found it difficult to go running for too long or going to gyms and all the other ways to stay healthy, active and fit. And when I saw Fit20, I just wish I'd seen it earlier, because there are a lot of people that could relate to that. So we're really excited that we're rolling out Fit20 studios across the country. And today is the first in a series of webinars to share a bit more about the magic of the wonderful method of training that we have. And then also some value add around that, so that you can really adopt what we call the Fit20 lifestyle. But essentially it's about helping people to feel healthier, happier, stronger, so that you can show up to whatever daily activity you want to in your everyday life in better shape. And today I have great pleasure to introduce you to somebody who really is a product of the product. He became a customer of Fit20, and a few months later he kept asking me, because the national office of Fit20 is next door to this studio where Matt was a customer. And he kept coming in and asking me questions about how it all worked and how's the business. Anyway, he was so excited about the changes and benefits he'd had personally that he ended up buying it. It's a bit like the Remington micro screen razor, but of health and fitness. So I can think of nobody better than Matt to kick off our first event. Ladies and gentlemen, give a virtual wave and round of applause to our first speaker, Matt Appleby.
Thank you. Thanks, Niri. Could you pass host to me?
Just finding you, Matt.
Cheers. Afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining. I've got a short presentation to share with you. Be there very shortly. So just while we're getting set up here, if there are any questions at all, anything that crops up, please pop them in the chat box and we'll aim to answer as many as we can at the end of the session.
Okay, you're on, Matt.
Thank you. So, hopefully you can see my screen.
Yay.
Give us a thumbs up. Perfect. Grand. Okay. So this is me. Welcome everybody. I'm today at Fit20 HQ at Fox Valley in Stocksbridge. As I said before, any questions, please drop them in the chat function and we'll aim to answer them at the end of the session. So my Fit20 story, as Niri alluded to then, I was a customer first here. Strength training has been something I've done throughout life. I joined my first gym at 16. And up until I was sort of mid-30s, it had been ever present. At that time, life became quite busy. I had my first child, became a dad. I'd also started a yoga teacher training course. At that time, I was working full-time. So something had to give, and I consciously quit going to the sort of the regular big box gym. I thought nothing of it. I thought it was golden, to be honest, with all the yoga I was doing. And a couple of years went by and I noticed I'd started to lose strength. We were due to have our second child, and those car seats, I don't know if anybody's got little ones or grandkids, they weigh an absolute ton. I went to fit it and I really struggled, and it was a bit of a wake-up call, a bit of an alarm bell. And I honestly didn't know what to do, because I'd moved past regular methods of training, and I knew I definitely didn't have time now with a second child on the way. And I found out about Fit20, came along, loved it, ticked a lot of boxes for me, got great results within 2-3 months. As Niri said, kept pestering him and asking more about the business. But basically, the benefits I saw, my strength drastically improved, got back to where it needed to be. My energy levels were much more even and I felt great. And my posture really changed. And this one still baffles me today because on a physical level, that's what I'm teaching when I'm teaching yoga. So that's a bit about my journey and how I got to where I am. A few months after that, I took over the studio here, so summer 2019. So first of all, I'd like to explain what high intensity training is. A lot of people hear the term HIIT and think, oh, is it that mad thing that Joe Wicks does, leaping around and getting sweaty? Or is it that insanity type workout? It's definitely not that. This is HIT. That is high intensity interval training. This is high intensity training. It's resistance based strength training, high intensity and low impact. So it's very slow, very controlled and very safe. In a slide further along, I'll explain a bit more about the method and how it works. Okay, so why does it work? We're really working with our genetic makeup, survival of the fittest. The reason our ancestors survived and we're here is that they were fitter and stronger than their peers, if you like. They were fully in the fight, flight or hunt part of the nervous system, which helps us get fitter and stronger. So in those intense periods of exercise, that gives us the survival instinct. We get that optimal stimulus to get stronger and fitter. And unfortunately, in the modern world, we don't get that. We're relatively sedentary compared to back then. So we decline much faster, we lose strength, and that can be quite stark, as I myself experienced. And it can start as early as 25, if you're not doing an awful lot, if you're relatively inactive. So we're giving you a positive stress to replicate this sort of short, intense period of exercise, which is the thing that keeps us strong and fit. So another question that often crops up is, how long do we need to spend exercising? We're obviously dispelling quite a few myths here in our approach, because Fit 20 is once a week. That is a great way to help support active lifestyles in general. So we'll keep you strong, we'll keep you fit, we'll keep you healthy, so you can get the most out of the other activities that you'd love to do. So you might want to think on this continuum of intensity to time. So we're right there at the top, low volume, high intensity. Things like walking, jogging are down towards the bottom end. So they're high volume, low intensity. So you can do these things more frequently, more regularly. At Fit 20, we give you that week's worth of strength training in one condensed HIIT, 20-minute session where we work you hard and push you hard. And we're really promoting you to be active and fulfilled in the rest of life. So in summary, Fit 20 provides a survival impulse to make us stronger and fitter. So a little bit of science next. I was very skeptical when I first came along and sort of tried to disprove it, but that quickly became apparent that it does work. So a lot of people say just once a week, it can't possibly be true. This is how it works. So if you look on this chart at A, let's say that's your training day. You've come along to the studio, you've done your session. You weaken the system initially through that training. So within a day, you're down to sort of a lesser strength at point B. And then the body starts to repair itself. And at point C, you're back to that baseline where you were beforehand. Where the real magic happens is in the preceding days where your strength actually increases. So to point D, this is the optimal time to retrain. So if you think of this as a repetitive type curve, you're then getting that nice gradual incremental increase week on week. The optimum level that we're looking to get to is what we call cruising altitude. So we all have a maximum strength, And if you consider when you get there, when it doesn't feel like you're making any progress, you're actually maintaining a higher strength than your peers. So that's a great place to get to. So the Fit20 method is very progressive. We're helping with those incremental strength gains week on week. Another question that often crops up is, how does it fit alongside other activities? So what else can I do to help support what I'm doing here? So I often advise things like these in this slide. So walking, swimming, cycling, perfect. Jogging, if you're so inclined, or running. Yoga and Pilates are a fantastic complement. Any other sports that you might be interested in. You get a load of golfers, tennis players, really keen gardeners. So whatever activities, pursuits that you're into, Fit20 will keep you strong, healthy, and in a position to get the most out of those things that you love doing. So what are the benefits? There are absolutely tons of benefits of the Fit20 training. In the studios, if you remember, you may have seen one of these boards up, and it picks out the top 12 reasons that people often inquire about or are looking to achieve or find help with. The top one, I think, is really interesting because depending on what you currently do for sort of exercise and activity and strength, if you're in more regular methods, say you go into a gym, you're going to get a whole load of time back. So you can reinvest that time in other things that you love doing. So really consider what you would do with that saved time. Number 4 is very key and on the agenda for pretty much every one of us at the moment, strengthening our immune system. It helps keep us strong and resilient and strengthens our immunity. And additionally, one thing we see very often, point number 5, is helping with, sorry, that's not 5 at all, number 9, helping with back pain and injuries. Often just within a handful of sessions, people say, my back discomfort's gone, I've got no pain, I feel great. And finally, the one I'm going to draw up is putting yourself in a good mood. I think this is one that we're keen to perhaps overlook, the benefits on sort of overall mood and psycho-emotional type benefits. And this is going to be covered in our next webinar next week. So a whole load of benefits. I've just drawn out some of the top ones there. In terms of locations, where we're at, we've got Kieran, who's on the call. He's got 2 studios in Leeds. Myself in north part of Sheffield, Fox Valley. We've got Duncan in Norwich, Attila at Chiswick in London, and Sarah in Norwich and Duncan in Exeter. And on the right hand side, that's me, if you're familiar with Fox Valley, looking a bit silly on the balcony just outside the studio. Okay, so what makes us unique? To explain our method, I'm really grateful that we've had to make very few changes since returning after lockdown. It's certainly safer than going to a supermarket or your local pub. We've been distancing for 11 years as a business. We obviously are ensuring the things that everybody else is doing at the minute, sanitising, wearing masks, ventilation, all these kind of good things. But we've had to make minimal changes to the actual training. In terms of how we train, it's super slow. The muscles don't get any rest during the exercise, and we work to a point of what we call momentary muscular failure, which might sound a bit alarming, but it's very safe. What we aim to do is exhaust each muscle group in turn on a number of exercises. We train to a super slow count of 10. So it's 10 out, for example, on a chest press, 10 back in, and then towards the end, you go for roughly 2 minutes per exercise. We're going to hold isometrically for 10 seconds. and then that exercise is finished. There are ways to kind of use this concept at home. During lockdown, we offered an at-home solution, body weight style HIIT training. We called it our emergency ration. So let's take a leg press, for example, that you might do in the studio. So here we're concentrating with a huge amount of muscle mass, large upper leg muscles, quads, hamstrings, glutes, working those to exhaustion. How you can replicate this at home is by squatting against a wall and get that depth of squat right for your ability and your strength until pretty much your legs start giving way, but in a safe fashion, coming away from the wall. These exercises are available on our YouTube channels and via our website, I believe, and we'll share those with you afterwards. So there are ways to do this at home. But what we do in the studio is very difficult to replicate. The at-home alternatives, you would have to do 2 or 3 times a week to get the same or similar kind of benefits. In terms of how we operate in the studio, we guarantee results. And what we mean by that is that you'll get stronger. It's always with a personal trainer. So this is the real value item here. Any kind of training done on your own versus under supervision, you're going to get far better results doing it under supervision. Our method is backed by science, and you don't have to change to train with us. You can come in your regular clothes. Because it's done so slowly, you might get a little bit warm, but you're not going to get hot and sweaty. It's always by appointment. As you can see from the photo, our studio is very private, and you can also train 2-to-1. So at the minute, we're obviously focusing on 1-to-1. We do have some members, partners, for example, siblings, people that are living together that train 2-to-1, and that's also a really nice way to train. And to summarise, this is our mission as a business, what we're looking to achieve. Ultimately, we add strength to your life. So high intensity strength training is the most important form of training for overall health and wellness. This includes resilience, vigour, cognitive function and mental focus. We add strength to your life so that you can get the so you can get the most out of your life. And if you're looking to contact us and are curious about our methods and how we train, you can find out details of all the studios via our website, fit20.co.uk. Here at Stocksbridge, you can get in touch via email, stocksbridge@fit20.co.uk, or you can give us a call, 0114 481 1000. Thank you very much for your time. Next up, we've got Sam. I'm going to introduce Sam. Sam is a fantastic nutritionist who I've connected with in recent months. He takes a very sensible approach to it, which was a breath of fresh air to me. I'm sure he'll explain it much better. Over to Sam Wilkinson. I'm just going to stop sharing my slides and pass control to you, Sam. Thank you.
Cheers, Matt. Thank you very much. Yeah, we'll get cracking as soon as I can share my screen.
There you go, it should be with you, Sam.
Cheers, pal. So here we have it. I'm going to start with a very brief introduction. I'm kind of aware that's not why we're here. So this is me, Sam Wilkinson. I've been a personal trainer for 4.5 years, and I've always worked with clients on their nutrition. But around 18 months to 2 years ago, I kind of made it an actual thing that I offered and added a little bit more structure to it. And realistically, my main job is helping with implementation. Like Google is an amazing tool. You can find out basically anything that you need to know. My main job is helping people do the things that they know that they should do. and just helping with that. And it's focusing on finding your way and not the best way. And I kind of hope that's reflected in what I talk about today. Like, I'm not going to give you a list of rules. I'm not going to give you like a list of foods to eat. It's going to be more like a set of principles that will kind of help you take back a bit of control, I hope. So the fitness industry has got really good at telling people what to do. When people come and see me, this is what they tend to expect. They expect me to be a drill sergeant, to tell them what to do, what not to do, when to do it, etc., etc. And that's all good and well, but that approach kind of misses out on the fact that you live in your body 24/7. You live your schedule 24/7. You know which food you do and don't like. And you've got X amount of years past experience of what does and doesn't work for you. And realistically, we look out there, long term, people don't like being told what to do. Like, if we look in the world, we're being told what to do, and a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people are rebelling. That tends to happen with food eventually. When it comes to your life, it's undeniable. You are the expert. Like, you know best. So for today, we're going to try and replace that judgment with curiosity. We can be our harshest critic, especially when it comes around food and nutrition. And we're going to look at just replacing that kind of, why can't I just do it, voice in our head, with actually exploring the barriers, like what is actually stopping you from achieving. We're going to embrace you as an expert. Like I say, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm hoping that some of the things I share will resonate and they'll help you make better decisions. But ultimately, you are the expert of your own experience. Don't believe a word I say. Like, this is really important. Life isn't a multiple choice quiz. There's more than one answer. And just because I've got a nice t-shirt that says nutrition coach doesn't mean I know everything. Today, I'm going to share my experiences, clients' experiences, and, like, try them out. If they work for you, that's awesome. If not, then it's just another thing which we know potentially doesn't work for you. So healthy eating is not a destination. Like, you don't eat a certain amount of salads, a certain amount of vegetables and get given this kind of medal that you are now officially a healthy eater. Healthy eating is a process. It requires consistent action, formation of new habits, and ultimately we're looking at progress over perfection. Often, it layers on top of each other and we just build it into your lifestyle. So it could be said that foods realistically don't have morals. There's no good or bad food, but foods do have calories, which is just a unit of energy, and nutrients, which is stuff that your body needs. So it could be said that food's kind of sit on a continuum. At this left-hand end, we've got calorie-dense foods, which, for the amount of nutrients they provide, have quite a lot of energy. Up on the right, these kinds of foods are nutrient-dense. So for the energy they have, they're high in nutrients. Both of them fit into your lifestyle. And there's a place for them both. One isn't good, one isn't bad. An example for me, I play rugby and I love a beer after rugby. So any plan that I follow has to include that. It's an important part of my social life. So, that's definitely a calorie-dense kind of food, let's be honest. But there has to be a place for that in my life. Otherwise, long-term, I'm probably not going to stick to it. I'm not going to do it. Some of the considerations for the food choices you make is, what are your goals? What are your priorities? Like, what are the demands do you have on your time at the minute? What is your schedule? What have you actually got time for? What fills you up? What are your trigger foods? Like, can you eat one Malteser or will you smash the full bag? That's quite an important consideration for most of us. And what's available. And finally, and probably most importantly, what do you actually enjoy? What do you enjoy doing with your food? Because that's what ultimately you're going to end up doing longer term. So I've got a couple of examples really of how this works in practice. First example is with breakfast. So here we have, some kind of cafe, frappe, something or other with double cream and a pan of chocolat. That's probably quite a common breakfast for some people that are rushing to work, stopping off at Starbucks. And that's definitely at the calorie dense end of the spectrum. On the right, we've got, some glorious looking green shake, an omelette with some veg, and, that's nutrient dense food. It's potentially not something that we could all manage in our schedules. In the middle, simple, a white Americano, wholemeal bread with a bit of marmalade. And don't get me wrong, it's not going to get shared by Karen on Facebook as the next best diet. But for somebody who's looking to make healthier choices compared to the left, that would represent progress. The next example we have, submit this person one sec. Next example we have, and this is from an actual client. I did this the other week. So he works on the go a lot and often finds himself in a supermarket on his lunchtime. He's a proud Yorkshireman, so naturally, if you can get 3 butties for the price of 2, he's always going to go for the breakfast triple. So we've got a breakfast triple, some pork pies and a bottle of Coke. We explored what are potentially some better options. And so, we went for the tuna pasta salad, some carrots and hummus and a Diet Coke. Calorie-wise, it's probably slightly less, but nutrient-wise, there's some veg in there. There's some different nutrients, so it's definitely a step forward. The best option we come up with was this kind of chicken salad pot, some apple and grapes and some water. That would represent, in theory, the best choice. That's what he should eat. But we found that when he did this, he was starving for the rest of the afternoon. So for him, the best choice was definitely this middle column. Like, you could, swap some bits in and out, but overall, that was the best solution for him. You can apply that kind of idea anywhere, to your habits, to your food choices. If you ask yourself this question on a consistent basis, you're going to move forward. It doesn't really matter where you are. Like, even if you're in the chippy, on the lunchtime you find yourself there, it's what are the better options available to me right now? It's always a question you can ask. And which kind of brings me into the next example, which is the last one. One of my clients is the director of a business. So he does a lot of his business like over lunch. He takes his clients out. He's always eating out. And it became kind of clear early on that he wasn't going to change from taking clients for lunch to like doing business over a tub of chicken. So we kind of had to get him good at making good decisions while he ate out. We did joke that long term, maybe he could take up golf and, maybe that would help him with his waistline if he took his business on the golf course. Ultimately, we had to work with this initially. So when we explored where he could potentially improve, he said that he does enjoy a salad when he's out, but realistically, when he's looking at the menu and he's got, the steaks and the mixed grills, he just finds it hard to make that decision. So the simple solution we came up with was look at the menu the day before, make 1 or 2 choices, similar to what we've just done above. And then on the back of that, when he goes in, he's kind of got a plan of action ready. And it's just getting him good to make those better choices. The next kind of question, and this is a massive one, is do I need to worry about portion sizes? Well, in a nutshell, yes, you do. In my opinion, health and fitness, we're obsessed with weight, and weight loss has become kind of glamorized, and it's, I'm going to lose a stone in X amount of time. And I don't agree with that approach, but the reality is that for a lot of people, losing a bit of weight or decreasing body fat would improve your health. And so portion sizing is quite an important place to start there. And with portion sizing, it's all about awareness, really, being aware of what it is that you're eating. So methods that I use with my clients for bringing awareness: eating slowly, and we'll dig into some of these a little bit more shortly, but just simply eating slowly, using a hand portion guide, paying attention to serving sizes, using a food journal, and down here at the bottom, calorie counting. I'm not wild on it, and there are better choices, as this kind of presentation is about, but for some people it does work, but it tends to be people who like numbers. So eating slowly, it gives your body time to digest. And this is like an example from my own experience. I'm one of 6, and every Sunday we'd have a massive Sunday dinner. And like all good Sunday dinners, there'd always be seconds. And what I'd find is that I would absolutely smash through my first plate of food because I wanted dibs on the roast potatoes. And so obviously I'd smash my first plate, go to the kitchen, load up my second plate, and somewhere on the way back, that first plate hit my stomach. And I'd be like, oh, I kind of don't need to eat this food now, I'm not very hungry. And I'm sure we've all got an experience where either you've ordered dessert when you're eating out, or you've finished off a Chinese, and afterwards you've kind of gone, wow, I did not need to do that. And it's just a method of just letting your body give that bit of time to catch up. Next thing is it allows you to ask the question, am I full yet? How often do we kind of just sit there and mindlessly eat? We're on Facebook, we're watching telly. And we only realise we've finished when the bowl's empty of whatever it is we're eating. Realistically, your body speaks to you. We're just kind of out of the habit of listening and eating slowly and just asking yourself, am I full yet? Is an amazing place to start. Next up, we have hand portion sizes. Again, I use this as a bit of a tool. It's not an exact science, but hands are portable. You take them wherever you go. And generally speaking, the bigger you are, the bigger your hand is. So it's a really useful way of just eyeballing kind of how much food you should eat. You know, for men, you know, you're looking at two of each kind of portion per meal. For women, you're looking at one. And again, it's a basic start point. It's the main aim of it is just to bring awareness. Like if you're sat there looking at your food, you can use your hand and think, right, is this about right? Naturally, we're all different, so we need to make some adjustments. Like you adjust it on how often you eat, how many meals do you actually eat a day? How big are you? The bigger we are, we tend to need more calories. How active you are, the more we move, the more energy we need. And how hungry are you? If you're hungry, probably need to eat a little bit more. And lastly, like the results that you get, like this is really important. We kind of get obsessed with wanting immediate results for things that we do, but that can be really good feedback on if something's working or not. If you are really hungry all the time, that's not ideal. You're probably going to make worse food choices. So you probably do want to eat a little bit more food. If you're not losing weight, again, that's a bit of an indicator that maybe we need to change something. The next method is simply paying attention to serving sizes. So these little jazzy little labels are all kinds of foods nowadays. And if you look at them, like it says, this should contain X amount of servings, or this is what represents a serving. Just being aware of that, again, can have a huge impact on the food choices we make. Like if anyone actually knows what 30 grams of Cocoa Pops looks like, it is not a lot, but it gives you an indication of how much you, in theory, should be eating. The last example is using a food journal. It's simply writing down the food that you eat. And so the beauty of this is it just increases your awareness. Like the amount of clients who tell me I was going to eat this, then I realized I'd have to write it down. It just kind of makes you more aware of what you're putting in your mouth. And then afterwards, it allows you to accurately reflect. If I say to all of you guys today, what did you eat yesterday? It'd probably require a little bit of thought. And we'd probably miss one or two things. But it allows you to accurately say, this is what I ate. And it avoids this kind of situation. I mean, arguably, some would say this fella sprucing up his lawn is potentially not the best thing to be doing right now. And it just allows us to accurately say, like, this is what the priority should be. Next up, what about meals? What about timing? So how many times should I eat? And when should I eat it? That is the best quote. It's what is the best way to get lean is to find a program you can stick to that fits in the context of your life. Now, when I first kind of started as a PT, I told everyone they always had to eat breakfast. That was one of the things which was like go-to, most important meal of the day. And I kind of realised when I told a busy mum of 3 that she needed to either get up earlier or kind of manage her time better to get breakfast in, that potentially wasn't the best solution. Like it didn't go down very well. And that was the last time I ever told somebody to eat breakfast. I realised, no, we have to make this individual. It has to fit in with people's lifestyles and the other demands that they have on their life. So in terms of meals and timings, it literally is what is going to work for you. Look at your schedule. What can you fit in where? The most important part of that quote is that it fits into the context of your life. I was reading a study the other week, which was looking into the best diet in terms of fat loss. And it was pairing different kinds of diets with different kind of training protocols. And there was a clear winner. One diet had, elicited the best fat loss, the greatest changes in body composition, and in theory was, what we should all do to lose weight. But when you looked into the study, almost half of the people dropped out of that group, which was comfortably the highest. So it was only a 3-month study, and usually like having an end date helps us kind of push through and keep going. And over half people couldn't stick to it for 3 months, which would suggest that, for a study into optimizing fat loss, it's quite useful. But as a viable solution for a lot of people, it wouldn't, they wouldn't be able to stick to it. They wouldn't be able to actually do it. It wouldn't fit in with their lifestyle. So at this point, what next? This is potentially how some of us are feeling. You know, we've been through quite a lot of stuff, probably shared one or two things we've not seen before. So we're just going to breathe, just going to take a little moment. Because as I've kind of said at the start, my job is implementation. So I kind of want you to have a few bits you can take away that hopefully are going to have a positive impact on life and the decisions that you make from this point onwards. So step one, where are you? I've kind of given you a load of instructions and direction. You know, this dotted line is all well and good, but it's only ever going to get you to the X if it starts at that boat. If this fella over here followed that same route, he's going to end up somewhere over here. So it's really important that any choices we make in our life meets us where we currently are. So we can go back to this scale. You know, a question I often ask clients is, in line with your goals, rate the last week 1 to 10. And off the back of that, what are your priorities? Do you need to eat more food? Do you need to eat less food? Do we need to improve the quality of the food? Do we need to look at hydration? They're all considerations that we can make. And based off that number, what does plus one look like? You know, we're not looking at perfection, but you know, you don't have to go from a pizza to a salad. But if you still want a takeaway, maybe sharing a takeaway with the other half, maybe that's one better, and that would definitely represent progress. Step two, set yourself a next step. Again, based off what your priorities are, what's the next thing that's going to move you forward? Every January, we're all really good at setting big impact kind of goals. You know, we're all going to lose a lot of weight and join the gym, and we're going to exercise and become a millionaire. And it doesn't often come off. So it's really quite important that the next step that we make is achievable. We build some momentum, and it comes in between big impacts and can do. An example from my life, I'm an absolute nightmare for making myself dinner and then forgetting it, which then means I've got to go to the shop, and I'm just adding a load of variables in there that I don't need to deal with. So I leave myself a little note sometimes in the morning and just say, don't forget your lunch. It's simple, it's easy, but it has a big impact. Same kind of thing, packing your swimming stuff, the night before you go to work, makes it more likely that you're going to go swimming. Ultimately, we're looking to make the healthier choices easier. Step three, what happened? And this is something which is often missed by a lot of people. Kind of, if we fail at something, we kind of just chuck it in the bin and say, oh, I'm rubbish, let's leave it there. But doing a bit of an after action report actually, can really help. I've got an example next. And it kind of helps you decide what you're going to do next. If you said you were going to do something, did you do it? If not, why not? We're just kind of zooming in and out of, what is affecting what's happening on a day-to-day basis. The last step, outcome-based decision making. So this is basically what my job is. We're looking at, based on what you've just done, what's the next thing that we should do? My example from these 4 steps this week is my client came in on Monday and she's brand new, and we set what would appear to be a really easy action. On Tuesday night, she was going to have either broccoli or asparagus with her tea. That was it. That was the one thing she was going to try and do this week. I checked in with her on Wednesday, asked her how her tea was, and she said, oh, I didn't manage it. I'm rubbish. I can't do anything. And, we immediately went into this, I failed. It was shocking kind of thing. And so we explored, and I said, no, actually, what went on? And she said, well, my boyfriend was supposed to go to the shop. Right, well, your boyfriend's useless then, isn't he? Not you. And we kind of explored what she could do next. And so off the back of that, we set actions, which was, I'm going to go to Morrison's after work. I'm going to buy some broccoli. I'm going to buy some asparagus. And I'm going to buy some frozen broccoli as a bit of a contingency. I can stick it in the freezer. So after kind of, having a bit of a I failed moment, I kind of came up with a strategy, which means long term, she's much more likely to achieve and she's much more likely to move forward. Rinse and repeat. That's literally my job. That's basically what I do on a day-to-day basis. Ultimately, momentum over time is going to equal progress. It doesn't matter how small. We're humans. We like to succeed at things, and succeeding at things feels good. So when you set yourself actions, it's really important that you can just move yourself that little bit further forward. The final kind of note is that the really sad thing about today's diet culture is that there's this sense of urgency. We kind of want results right now. And I get that. There's unrealistic expectations, and it is results driven. And that's understandable. For the effort that we put in, we do want to get results. but that kind of leads to this on it, off it mentality, you know, where we're going to get back on it on Monday, or we're going to get back on it when the kids go back. You're going to lose a stone, you're going to gain a stone, and ultimately people end up feeling pretty rubbish about themselves because they feel like they just can't do it. Ideally, what we want to be kind of working with is more of a dial. You know, depending on what other demands we've got, we kind of turn it up or we turn it down. Like this week, for example, if you're a teacher, I imagine your life's pretty crazy. One of my clients this week is a teacher, and, you know, work is crazy. And 3 weeks ago, progress was increasing his activity, dialing in his food, and we were doing all these kind of weird, exciting things. This week, progress looks like not opening the wine bottle every night and actively trying to make a bit of time for recovery. You know, his dial has probably gone from like an 8 or 9 out of 10 down to about a 1, but he's still in control of his health. He's doing the right things for him at this moment in time. So yeah, so the final kind of note is that the sad thing is that we literally have the rest of our lives to get it right. Unless you have just had kind of like quite a serious diagnosis, you know, we're going to be having a couple of square meals every day for the rest of our lives. So it doesn't have to be perfect today. It doesn't have to be perfect tomorrow. It doesn't have to be perfect next month, generally speaking. Like we do have time to focus on building habits over like a couple of months. And, you know, something I often say to my clients is that if you lost a pound in a month, you're probably quite disappointed with that as a rate of loss. But if you'd have started losing a pound a month 3 years ago, you'd be 36 pounds lighter, which for most of us would represent, you know, would be a lot healthier, would be a lot happier with that. So there isn't a rush, and it's about finding the right solution and what is going to work best for you. Any questions, I think, like Matt said, we'll bang them in the message box. But that's that for me. You know, feel free to follow me on Facebook. I'm trying to build that up. LinkedIn, similar. Website. And ultimately, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Sam. That was absolutely great. Loads of really good points there. Just want to say thanks to both of you. Matt, really great overview of Fit 20. It's great to hear kind of how it's a really safe way of training. So that was really good, and just having to commit to 20 minutes. That's good. Sam, I thought that was great. Kind of progress, not perfection, is definitely the take home there. Really like that. Like going out for a meal, checking the menu the day before and making some healthy choices. Thought that was a really great top tip. There was one question that came through from Richard for you, Sam, just about how you feel about fasting or only eating during an 8-hour period.
Yeah. So fasting's getting a lot of press at the minute because there are some studies which are suggesting that it is optimal for fat loss. And I'd say if that fits in with your life, amazing. Like for me personally, I'd be hungry, and it would simply lead to me just being like miserable, and I wouldn't enjoy my life very much. Like some people get amazing results off it, and yeah, it's viable as long as like I wouldn't say there's nothing magical about it. Evidence is suggesting it might be slightly better, but if it fits in your life, awesome. If it doesn't, then you know, find something else that works for you.
Great, thanks for that. Yeah, I think there's a lot of research being done there. I think it was Zane made a really good point about how sleep plays a really important part in kind of your food choices as well, which I thought was that's a great point as well, isn't it, Sam?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%.
I mean, I think for training and for health, we've got actually nice segue. Our third webinar is going to be about the value of sleep and rest between training. So hopefully, if you can join us again, you can hear some more about that. Has anyone got any other questions? I don't know if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question to either Matt or Sam. Anyone? Or we can, I mean, oh yeah, Neri.
Yeah, let me jump in there. Great presentation, Matt, and also Sam. Sam, you've got a really refreshing approach to nutrition and how you work with people, and you look like you're not imposing your philosophy on other people and you help them find theirs. So I'd love to know, how do you kind of work with people when if someone's interested, how do you connect with them and how do you work with them?
So as in, how does nutrition coaching work essentially?
With you.
With me? So up to press, until lockdown, I only ever worked like one-to-one, like face-to-face, but have taken things online. So well, work with people online, and generally at the minute that capacity is like over Zoom, like check-ins and that kind of thing.
Cool.
Awesome,
Yeah,
thank you.
we'll put all of your details on the follow-up email with a recording of this as well, so you can check back. Has anyone else got any other questions? Neri, did you have something?
Yeah, it was. I think there were a couple of people asking about this. If you want to find out more about Fit20, or how does it all work, or how do I try it, how long do I have to try it for, etc. I think, Branty, you asked that as one of your questions. Best thing to do is book in a free trial session at your nearest studio, because, you know, it's a talk on good nutrition choices. So if I was talking to you about the best chocolate cake in the world, I could describe it, or you could just turn up, take a bite, and you'll know whether it's perfect or not for you. Because Sam got across really well that one size doesn't fit all, and it's not about imposing your views. So just go try it. It's definitely no pressure, and you get all your questions answered. If it's a good fit for what you're looking to achieve, great. If not, no problem.
Great, thanks for that, Neri. Anyone, any other questions for the moment, or is everyone good? Yeah, cool. Well, I hope you found this really useful. We've got a couple more webinars coming up. So next Friday, we've got Kieran, who is there, just asked a question there. He's going to be running a webinar which is about one of those points that Matt raised, which is kind of healthy body, healthy mind. So the impact that exercise can have on your well-being, on your mental health. We've also got a transformation coach, which is who is going to come in and chat a little bit around that as well. So I think that we could all do with a bit of a kind of pick me up, and just learning the best ways of doing those things, I think will be really informative as well. And then the week after, which is the 9th, it's a webinar called Time to Rest. So a bit more about that rest period between exercise. So Matt went into that a little bit today, but just kind of drilling down into that. And Duncan from Exeter Fit20 will be taking that webinar. He's just waving there. As well as Kate Guest, who was on the call earlier. She's going to concentrate on sleep, better ways to get more sleep, and kind of more quality sleep and rest in your life. So that should be another great one for everyone as well. So all of the details will be on the email. You can sign up to the next ones, and we'll hopefully see you at the next webinar. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming along.
Yeah, and just before everybody goes, if you could just join me in giving a quick wave through Zoom when I say, to thank Matt for prepping and delivering the content based on some of the comments there. Lots of great comments and feedback. And of course, Sam, for joining us and delivering everything you have as well in good down-to-earth Yorkshire humour. That was great. I got some definite dad jokes out of some of your content for later. Thank you for that. But also to you, Lucy, for putting this all together and coordinating it so that we could all benefit. But most importantly, to each and every one of you, because that's really our purpose, to help you just live a little bit happier, a little bit stronger, a little bit healthier as well. So thanks everyone for joining us. And now we can do that wave thing, and let's give them that appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.